All right. Okay. So Jacqui, I think you are up and ready, and we are interested. Hit it.
All right. So hi everybody, I'm Jacqui Angelo. My husband and I own Blue Leaf Design Build and Dahlia Interiors. We do custom remodels, additions, pop tops, kitchen bath interior design, and custom cabinetry. And so I'm going to talk to you guys today about the realities of home improvement. And it's kind of a two-part thing. We all know that there's home or HGTV, DIY, Discovery, and they have all these home improvement shows. And it's great because it gets people excited, but it's also really bad because they're extraordinarily misleading as far as costs, time, what you can do, and all of those things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then I didn't rehearse this at all, so I'm just totally flying off the cuff. And I'm going to start my timer to make sure that I don't go. Do I have 20 minutes? Is that my time? 20 minutes?
Yes. Yes. Or and even more if for questions. And so yeah, we're good on time.
Oh, see if I can share. Oh, I need to share my screen. Somebody has to let me share it.
Yeah. Deb is getting that set up. Deb is talking, but we can't hear her.
Should be ready for you now. Get it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I think this is the one I want. All right. Do you guys see just the slide, or do you see the slide presentation with the notes and everything? Hopefully you just
the slide.
Just the slide.
good.
I like your haircut, Jacqui.
Oh, thanks. I'm way overdue. So we are Blue Leaf Design Build, Dahlia Interiors. We are located, our office is right next door to the Chamber of Commerce. So we're in the log building over by Kings Valley. This image is actually a house. I should have put the before in there. That was kind of silly of me not to do that, but it was a house that Phil did in Boulder a few years ago. And it was just a ranch to start out with. It was an old, like 1950s or 1960s ranch, and they made it into this really beautiful home. So if you want to call me, my information is here on this slide. It's better to call my cell phone. I'll be honest with you, I don't answer my office phone because I get so much scam. So I'll return your call if you call my office phone. And then our email address and our website address. All right. So my husband, Phil, he's a general contractor. He does operations, building, customer relations. And he doesn't do anything in the office. He's always out with the clients. He's amazing at what he does, and he's just an amazing craftsman. I know I'm biased because he's my husband, but he's really good at what he does. And then there's me. I'm business manager and designer. I do accounting, marketing, administrative, and customer relations. So we have a couple of guys that work with us, Sam and Ian. They're the ones that you might see kind of on an everyday, day-to-day basis. And then I have another designer, Michelle, who she kind of helps me with the interior design. And then I have an open position for a kitchen designer that I'm in the process of filling right now. And then these are my very important pets because we can't live without them. So just a little bit about us. Phil's had over 30 years of experience building and remodeling homes in the Denver, Boulder area. He had a business partner and they kind of went their separate ways. And so we established Blue Leaf Design Build in 2017 down in Wheat Ridge, and then we relocated up to Conifer in 2018. So we specialize in medium to large scale additions, remodels. We also do some custom millwork. And then I started Dahlia Interiors at the end of last year. And the reasons, a lot of you know Jody Holskin, she had Blue Mountain Kitchens, and she decided that she didn't want to do that anymore. And so it just kind of morphed into, well, we should start doing that. And here we are. And so now we're offering kitchen and bath design, interior design, and we're also carrying custom cabinetry. One of the lines that I'm carrying that's kind of the best of the best is Colorado based. They build their cabinets here, they're located here, and I'm really proud of that. So our values, our mission, we aspire to be recognized as the Foothills builder of choice for the highest standard of craftsmanship. We want to be very responsive to our clients and our vendors and our subcontractors, and we really believe in cultivating relationships with the people that we're working with, from the clients to the vendors. And we really pride ourselves on vision, passion, quality, and integrity, because we think those things are really important, to bringing your vision to life. So I want to talk a little bit about why can't I get a home remodel like I see on HGTV for $50,000. Now, they may have increased their budgets after COVID, I don't know, but for a long time it was around $50,000. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So one of the shows that we like to watch is Maine Cabin Masters, and I like to watch it because I'm from Maine and I love their accents. And they do cabin remodels. So generally speaking, their budgets are maybe around $50,000 and they complete it in 12 weeks. They might do a kitchen, a living room, a bedroom, bathroom, throw in some new furnishings. And a lot of times they'll do the exterior, whether they just paint it or put on new siding or whatever it is. So, and granted, with their kitchens, they're not putting in expensive kitchens. They're very, very basic. But in reality, if we really add up everything, doing the same things that were included, it probably took 4 to 6 months, and it probably took about $80,000. And I'm going to explain why in a few minutes. So another one is a home remodel. We were watching this one where they do farmhouses. And their average budget was probably about $150,000. And they said they could do it in 6 weeks. And they are basically doing an entire home. So kitchens, and they're reconfiguring and sometimes even moving it to another part of the house. Living room, primary bedrooms, en suites, laundry rooms. They're moving walls, adding bathrooms, doing new furnishings, new windows and doors for $150,000. And it takes them 6 weeks. And I'm telling you right now, that's an impossibility. That will never happen. It's going to take 6 months to a year, if not longer, to do a remodel that big. And it's probably going to cost closer to $300,000. So why is there such a huge difference in what they're showing you on TV and what's really happening in real life? So let's break down the cost of the cabin. Labor, and this is being extremely conservative. $60,000 minimum in labor. Does not include subcontractors, electricians, plumbers, etc. So $1,000 a week, which really isn't that much, for 12 weeks for only 5 workers that we see on TV. That comes out to $60,000. We personally are not able to find anybody for less than $40 who's of quality right now. And we know that they have way more than 5 guys working on TV. There's not just the 5 people that we see. Materials, $20,000. That's really conservative. I mean, sometimes in this show, they put up all new wood, sorry, my brain's escaping me, tongue and groove on the walls, and they're doing entire walls. And so at a minimum, with your labor and your materials, that's $80,000. Your labor alone is more than the cost of what they give you for a budget on the show. So for the whole home remodel, with labor, we came out with $119,600 minimum, $4,600 a week average. And this is based on what we do, 30 hours a week, of active working time for 26 weeks for 2 workers. So it's fill plus 1 worker. So there's no possible way that they can do labor for less than that. Materials, $105,000 conservatively. When you're talking about plumbing, you're talking about new appliances, new kitchen cabinets, everything new, that's a very conservative estimate. So the total is going to be 300 to 600 roughly $1,000. And that doesn't include design fees, which, design fees and project management fees. So as you can see, it's really, there's really a huge discrepancy, and it makes it really difficult for when we go into homes and people think that they can get this magnificent remodel for really cheap. It just doesn't happen that way. So things to consider, that the home improvement shows don't tell you what the budget includes. Is that labor only? Is that material only? It's impossible for it to be both. Does it include your subcontractors, your permits, your design fees, all of that stuff? And these are things they don't really talk about on these shows. So they're things that people don't really think about when they get ready to do a remodel. So home improvement shows have unrealistic budgets. I mean, that's just the way that it is. They show 2 to 5 people working on the remodel. In reality, there are likely many more, especially for a TV show to get it done in 6 weeks, many more carpenters and tradesmen working on the project. They don't explain the cost of these tradesmen, electricians, plumbers, and other trades. They're expensive. They're really expensive. And then if you're moving a kitchen to another part of the house, you have to redo plumbing. If you're adding a bathroom, you have to add plumbing. That's not cheap. It's just not cheap. And the other thing that is really important with home remodels specifically is how are they accounting and paying for unforeseen issues. Now, sometimes they do show this comes up and they do say, oh, this is going to be expensive. But they don't, that's kind of all they say. They don't really talk about it a lot. And they don't really show how many issues actually come up during your remodel. So as far as time goes, a whole home remodel cannot be done in 6 weeks or even 12 unless you have 20 plus workers on the site. And you can't have that many because there isn't room for that many people in a house. Another thing that is really frustrating is demo day. So if you watch these programs, they say, oh, it's demo day, and they demo an entire home in 1 day.
Doesn't happen.
That is completely unrealistic. Demo can take weeks to a month, depending on the size of the project. So that's extremely misleading. And the other thing is you need to get permits. And there's other things that have to kind of happen before you can even start this project. So they make it seem like, okay, we're going to make your design and now we get to demo and now we get to put it back together. And it's just not that simple. There's a lot of things in between that need to happen that don't allow it to just happen in 6 weeks. There's also delays inevitably, particularly with remodels. Especially up here, these older homes that haven't been touched for many, many, many years. There's all kinds of things. In our own house in particular, the wiring is a hot mess. We've got a light switch in the basement, also connects to an outlet in the bathroom upstairs, which connects to something in the garage. It's crazy. And that's not how it should be. And so, you have to fix these things. And particularly when we're doing a remodel, we want to do it right. And we also need it to pass inspection. Subcontractor availability. Ever since COVID, just like everything else, very short on tradesmen. And so we can only move as fast as we can get people in. Supply chain and availability of materials, it's improving, but sometimes there still are a few issues. And weather, of course, can't obviously work in 3 feet of snow. So these delays need to be fixed. However, they need to be fixed before we can move on. So whether it's taking care of this electrical issue or, fixing this dry rot that we found, or the weather, we got to clear out for the weather. So those are always things that happen. It's unavoidable. Does anybody have any questions about any of that so far? Okay, I'm going to breeze through this because I'm running short on time. So I just want to talk really quick about hiring a professional, choosing your contractor or designer. So just remember that you're buying a service, not a product. So quality of service will often determine the quality of the finished product. If you've got somebody who's not answering your calls, who's not being attentive to you, who's not listening to you, your finished product probably isn't going to be all that great. You can go to the National Association of Remodeling Industry, and they give you a lot of information about how to choose a contractor. A lot of the information that I got for this presentation came from there. So I'm just going to kind of talk briefly about some of these things, how to pick your contractor. Obviously, staying local helps reduce the carbon footprint. It's an investment back into your community. One thing that I love about this community is in Mountain Women in Business, I can count on at least two hands how many women I do business with. And I really like that because as we know, people like to do business with those they know, like, and trust. I think hopefully you get better customer service. We live and work in the community, and so we want to make sure that we deliver the best customer service to our clients, so that they're happy with their product and they say nice things about us. So you always want to pre-screen for your contractor. NARI, and KBA, which is the Kitchen and Bath Association, Google, House, those are all places where you can go to kind of learn about some contractors, obviously their websites. Any contractors who get poor reviews, eliminate them. And I would say, honestly, stick with 4 and above, 4 stars and above, because then you just know that you're getting a good quality contractor. You want to ask for references. Word of mouth is obviously best. We have a list of references that we will provide. We don't give it out because we don't want our previous customers just out there anywhere, but we will provide that so that you can call them and talk with them. And have some questions for your references that you're talking to. Ask them, how did they do? Did they upcharge you all the time? Did they do what they said they were going to do? Were they there on time? Did they return your phone calls? Were you satisfied? Just some different things. And I can help you if you ever want a list of things to talk to somebody about. You want to really look into the business. There's a lot of unscrupulous contractors out there. Make sure that the contractor you're working with is licensed and insured. It's nice if they're associated with a couple of different industries. It just shows that they have an interest in keeping up with education, keeping up with the industry. And it's just, it shows an element of professionalism. Make sure there's no complaints. Check the BBB. Obviously, check your reviews. Ask them to see past projects. A contractor should have a portfolio. We have a physical portfolio, and then we have one on our website. Are they established in the community? You hear after hailstorms that people go knocking on doors and are like, oh, I'm going to fix your roof. They don't even live here. Stay away from that. I mean, I'm not saying you have to hire us because we live in Conifer, but you want somebody who's, Evergreen, Conifer, Denver, that kind of a thing. How are their relationships and how long have they been in business? For us, like I said, we've only been in business as Blue Leaf Design Build since 2017, but Phil's been doing this for 30 years. So you want to meet with them face to face. If you have drawings, maybe you've met with an architect already. Pinterest is a great way to show kind of what it is that you're thinking of and what your style is, especially if you're involving a designer. you want to narrow down to 3 or less contractors. One thing that we do, and I think is important, ask them to provide you with a sample estimate and a contract. So when we go out to an initial visit, we have a binder and we show the potential client, this is what your estimate's going to look like. This is what your contract's going to look like. And our contracts are pretty thorough. Includes cost of labor, materials, profit margins. If somebody gives you a 1-page estimate, I'd be very leery of that, especially if it's a large remodel. We do initially a very basic estimate, and then as we continue to work with you, we'll give you a more detailed estimate. There's a lot of things to include in that, but I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip over it. I'm going to just say, remember that you get what you pay for. If there's a lower bid, especially if it's really low, they're low for a reason. Stay away. If somebody if you've been getting 3 or 4 estimates and they say, well, we can do this project for $150,000, and then someone comes in and says, I can do it for 50, stay away. That's really scary. They'll probably take your money and run. Oh goodness, my timer is going off. So just think about your overall goals for your project. Remember, there's always issues. Red flags, a contractor who can't provide any of this stuff that we've talked about. Just do your research. I'm going to breeze through this really quick. Why hire a general contractor?
You're good on time, Jacqui. You're good on time.
Why hire a general contractor or a designer? Well, people a lot of times might say, oh, I can do it myself or whatever. But honestly, in the end, it really can save you a lot of money. We had a project that we did in Boulder recently, and it was an older home. They had some fireplace issues, and Phil suggested you need to just redo the entire fireplace. They chose not to do that. Phil tiled the whole, sorry, my brain isn't working this morning. The face of the chimney and everything, tiled the whole thing. And then I forget what happened, but there's a plumber came in and said, there's a leak in the gas line. You have to tear the whole thing out and start over. One thing that we do is we really try and guide the client. This is what we think that you should do, and this is why. If they are not going to budge and this is what they want to do, we have to let them do it. A lot of times, turns out it would have been better if they'd have listened to us, and it would have saved them a lot of money, but sometimes people have to learn things the hard way. It'll also save time. You have someone project managing for you so that you don't have to take time out of your day. There's a lot to doing a remodel. And I know when we remodeled our house in Wheat Ridge, it took forever and it was very frustrating because he's got to work, on other people's houses. So when you do it yourself, it's just really time consuming. General contractors, we have an established network of some contractors and vendors that we use. We have plumbers, electricians, all kinds of guys that we use that we know and like. And we're licensed and insured. So why hire a designer? Not everybody wants a designer, and there's different levels of how we can work with you on the design, but we can bring in new ideas that you might not have thought about. We'll make sure that your space is beautiful and functional. And we also are able to get elements that aren't available to the public. So maybe furniture pieces or even specialty not appliances, but like vent hoods and those kind of things, drawer pulls. There's just certain things that designers can get that the general public can, and that gives your home a very custom feel. And we can help you define your style too. So sometimes we'll have someone, like we're working on a project right now and she says, I want mountain modern. And then she sent me a couple of things and she's like, oh, I like this. And I was like, well, we can do that, but it's not really mountain modern. That's more traditional. And it doesn't work cohesively with what you're trying to achieve. And so we can just help you kind of pull those things together. So there's really no valid reasons not to hire a professional. Every aspect of your home project underscores the importance. You know, this is your home, where you probably plan to spend, you know, many, many years. Hopefully it's your forever home. You want it done right and you want it done well. You know, you've already put time, savings, effort into realizing your dream. So let it be done by a professional who can really make sure all of the pieces are taken care of.
Jack, we have a couple that have raised their hands. I see Sue's raised her hands,
Oh,
and
I'm
then
sorry, I can't see the chat.
yeah, that's why I thought I'd jump in there. And then Beth also has her hand raised. So you want to hit Sue first? Sue has to unmute.
Hello. Hi. Was it me that Sue Ryan? Is that who you called on? Or somebody else?
Nope, you.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you what it was you said. I'm writing things down honestly for myself, for to describe my services when you're talking about when you hire a professional contractor, what you're actually hiring and what you're purchasing for the money that you're spending. And one of the things you said, you were talking about the people that want to do their stuff DIY, or you're doing it, but they want to do stuff their way. And there was something that you said, something about you have to define it, or you have to, I missed the phrase. And I was just wondering what it was you said. Like it's,
We can help you define your style. Was that it?
maybe it wasn't their style. It was like people, when people want to do it themselves. Maybe it was define your style, and I just missed the context.
Well, sometimes doing it yourself just takes, you know, a lot of time, and there's a lot of things that DIYers don't really think about that can come up, and then it's like, oh no, what do we do now? And so, you know, some people are very good at it, and that's okay. But some
Yeah.
people aren't that great at it, and as we can tell, because we went and remodel a home that was a DIY job a few years ago. And so it's hiring a professional helps it get done right and
Yep.
get done well.
Okay. Got it. Thank you so much. I'm writing your stuff down. Thank you so much for presenting today. Okay, I'm gonna go off.
You're
Right.
welcome. I'll send this so that we can send it out.
Okay, thank you.
It's recorded, so we'll send this out to all the members. The next hand that I saw go up was Beth Nisers. See if we can unmute her.
Hello, I just have a quick question about before you like the architectural drawings. Do you do that, or do you have someone that does that? Because that always hangs me up as far as, you know, figuring out the before you even start part.
Yeah,
You know
it
what I mean?
some people come to us and they've been working with an architect. Some people call us and they don't even realize they need an architect. And not every project needs an architect. It just really depends on the scope. You know, if you're just like the kitchen in this photo, we just took out the old stuff and put in new. We didn't really reconfigure anything. It doesn't really need an architect. But if you are, you know, moving walls and adding stuff on, you know, and really making a major change, you do want to have an architect. So if somebody comes to us with plans from an architect, that's great. We work with them. If they don't have an architect, we have several that we can work with. And so we have a couple of different ones depending on the project that we will ask to come in on the project with us.
Okay. Okay, and we have Shannon's hand. Shannon Ruth's hand was raised next.
Yeah, so my question is, we're actually in this situation where we have an older home that we would like to expand and maybe even put a second level on. So in that case, you know, we would be moving walls and moving walls, reconfiguring. So does that mean, like, does the architect do the design as well, or do you need a designer to tell the architect what to do? How does that work?
No, so that's confusing for a lot of people. That's a really good question. An architect just does the layout of the floor plan of the home. the designer comes in and, you know, does the finishes, picks out, you know, helps you with the cabinet. We would probably do the actual kitchen layout for you, because we have to put that all in this program so that we can send it to the manufacturer. So an architect just really does the basic floor plan, and then the designer does the actual bringing the vision to life. Sometimes a designer will do a whole floor plan. It really depends on what, for you, an architect is what you would need for sure. A designer wouldn't do that at all.
So you're saying the architect would be able to say, yes, you can put an office up here, a stairwell here.
Yeah.
And then help you decide like how else the remodel should look? Is that
Yeah,
right?
they'll draw out the floor plan. Like you said, you wanted to put an addition on the top. So they'll do that whole thing, and they'll do a whole drawing and renderings, and you know, it's like 25 pages or more of what it's going to look like. And so that's what the architect is going to give you, is basically just, this is what your floor plan is going to look like.
Okay, okay.
And
And with your company, you do both the construction as well as the design. You're both.
we can do both, yeah. And I recommend to people, you know, use us for both, because it's ultimately, it's a savings for the client, because it's my husband and I, and so everything is just right there. Whereas if you hire a designer and then you hire a separate contractor, you're sometimes paying twice in some ways, because they're two separate businesses.
Okay.
So, and we also will do a remodel without design. Some people don't want our input for design, and that's totally fine. We'll do that too. And sometimes people want us for design, but not remodel. So we can work with people in a variety of different ways. And we can work, if somebody wants a kitchen and they've already got a contractor to put the kitchen in, they just want the cabinets, I can do that too.
And then one more quick question. So to work with you, would it be better first to go get the architect or talk to you first? Maybe you have an architect to recommend.
If you don't have one that you know of, I mean, you could talk to us first, and then we can get an idea, and then we can recommend the architect that we think might be better based on that.
Okay. Yeah, great. No, this is a great talk. Thanks. Really helpful.
It's very good. So the next hand that we had up was Amy. So Amy, I think you're unmuted and ready.
Yes, hi, thank you, Jackie. Thanks for the information. How do you price services for design? Do you do a flat rate on a project, or do you do by the hour, or does it just depend?
Kind of sort of both. So we have a flat rate, and we do things in phases, both for the design and the build phase. So we do things in phases. So we'll take a small retainer initially, and then once we move further into the project, we'll take another retainer, and then it depends on the scope. Everything always depends on the scope of the project. The smaller, obviously, the less the design fees, the bigger, the more the design fees. And it also depends, you know, there's different ways that we can do design. Some people don't, I mean, to really do a whole home design is actually extraordinarily expensive. And some people don't want to do that. So they might just want to say, I just need some help, you know, picking out the finishes for my kitchen. We're happy to do that. Sometimes that might be on an hourly fee. So it just kind of depends on what exactly it is that we're doing for the project.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, Amy. That was actually mine.
It's better to do, it's better for the client. Well, it's better for everybody really to do a set fee, because hourly can just go awry for so many different reasons. So we try to stick to a set fee, but it just depends on the project.
Good, good.
Yeah, I understand. As a consultant, I usually estimate a fee, but then I put in like an add-on saying, if we go over this, then I'm charging you by the hour. And it, you know, that keeps them from having a meeting once a day for an hour instead of a meeting once a week, which is enough, or something like that.
Yeah, and as far as like materials and that kind of thing, we're cost plus. So for the labor for the build piece of it, that is hourly, but for materials, we're cost plus. So it costs you what it costs you plus our management overhead.
Good to know.
There shouldn't be any surprises.
We have Rachel has her hand up.
Oh, yep. Just a few quick questions. Do you charge anything for an initial consultation to come out and say, yes, this is something we could help with, or we couldn't even help your situation, or, you know, we do much bigger projects?
Yeah, so I actually have another whole presentation on our process. So when we get somebody calls us and says, you know, we want to talk to you, I'll talk to them. I'll go through what our process is with them over the phone, and then we'll schedule an initial meeting. That initial meeting is not, we don't charge for that. And really we just get a basic idea of what the client wants to do. And we can do a very preliminary basic budget based on that information. Anything after that is where we
Okay.
start a retainer fee, because we've just learned that there's so much work involved that we do, and then people never call us back. And I mean, time is money,
Yeah.
right? So we will do the initial
Definitely.
free, but then there's a small fee after that, and it continues to go up as we get into the project.
Sure. And then it's so interesting. I love the things you said about the shows on TV, because I do watch, you know, 100-Day Home, where the whole, from slab to the whole home is built in 100 days. And you wonder how the heck they do that. And then my other favorite show recently is Rico to the Rescue. And it amazes me how people hand someone $100,000 and never did background checks on their contractor, or never checked with the Better Business Bureau or any of this stuff, and then get in so much, you know, trouble for years and lawsuits and all kinds of stuff. I don't know how you would never, you know, want to do all of those things first when so much money's involved. So that was kind of fascinating, you know, they don't break down. They say, yeah, our budget's $300,000, but they don't really break that down on the TV shows.
Yeah, and when we do an estimate for somebody, we don't do bids, we do estimates. And we will give you a very detailed estimate. But that's part of, we get a retainer for that because it's really time intensive. And one, to your point about backgrounds and everything like that, we background check anybody so our two guys that work for us and our designers, we background check them before they're allowed to go into someone's home.
That's cool. I've had to do some things long distance for my mom's house in Galveston, and have been really, really just blessed and lucky that, you know, we found people through neighbors who are happy to show us their insurance, are happy to email me everything in writing, you know, stuff before things have to be done. Because it's scary, especially when you're helping somebody out of state,
Yeah,
let alone here for your own property.
We've heard horror stories up here. And there's very reputable contractors up here. So I'm always like, where did they get this person from? There's enough up here, I think.
Right.
But so, you know, we just want to.
That's good info. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Was that it?
Yeah,
Oh.
let me sorry, I just want to talk really quick.
Yep.
I always forget to throw this out there. We do have a scholarship fund in partnership with Bootstraps, and it's to help local students with their post-secondary education who want to get into any kind of construction, design, architecture, engineering, trades. And so we're giving $2,000 a year. You can donate to that. Anything we receive over and above for donations is going to also go to the students. So I just wanted to thank you guys for your time, and, you know, let me know if you have any questions and if you need a remodel.
Sounds like some of us need remodels. So that's exciting. Okay. So let's see here. Do you want to stop sharing? That's perfect. Okay. So we are going to have a ton of booths this spring and summer and fall. So just really check the website for all of those events. We have so many members. We're going to probably end up having 2 tables at these events. So that's exciting. So anybody have any quick announcements they want to make? We have about a minute. So speak up. Okay.
Just check the website, and Deb's doing a great job putting everything on the website with events and upcoming things. And if anybody's free, meet us for coffee in 45 minutes.
All right. I'm not, but hi to your sister.
It's okay.
So, all right.
You gotta work
Take care,
before you go
everyone.
to Hawaii.